May 22, 1962. Deep inside the Gorky automobile plant, east of Moscow, a strange little armored vehicle rolled out beneath a gray Soviet sky. It weighed barely 7 tons. Its armor was thin enough to fear heavy machine guns. Its turret looked undersized. Beneath the hull sat 4 tiny auxiliary wheels hanging like spare parts from some unfinished machine. At the rear, a single water jet hinted that this thing could swim. To Western observers, it looked obsolete before it even entered service. Soviet crews gave it a brutal nickname almost immediately: bardak, mess, junk, chaos. The interior was cramped, noisy, suffocating. One penetrating hit could turn the gasoline engine into an inferno. It had no missile system, no advanced optics, no serious armor protection. And yet this awkward machine would become one of the most battle-tested armored vehicles ever built. 4 years later, NATO analysts watched it rumble across Red Square during the 1966 May Day parade. Most assumed it was temporary, a stopgap reconnaissance car that would disappear within a decade. Instead, it survived the Soviet Union itself. The vehicle was called the BRDM-2. And over the next 64 years, it would fight in Vietnam, Afghanistan, Iraq, Syria, Libya, Chechnya, Yugoslavia, and Ukraine. It would serve in nearly 60 countries. It would outlive presidents, generals, entire governments. Even in 2026, crews are still rebuilding damaged BRDM-2s and sending them back into combat. The reason it existed came down to one terrifying Soviet calculation. During the late 1950s, Soviet planners believed any war with NATO would become a lightning assault across Europe. Their armored divisions would hit river after river, the Rhine, the Danube, the Main, the Weser, sometimes every few dozen kilometers. Waiting for bridge engineers would kill momentum. Momentum, in Soviet doctrine, was everything. So reconnaissance units needed something fast, amphibious, and cheap enough to build by the thousands. The answer was brutally practical. The BRDM-2 could hit 100 km per hour on roads, faster than many Western armored vehicles of its era. Its belly wheels allowed it to crawl across anti-tank trenches. Its water jet pushed it through rivers for hours at a time. And mounted in its tiny turret sat the massive 14.5 mm KPVT machine gun, powerful enough to shred armored personnel carriers from the front. It could not destroy tanks. But it was never designed to. The Soviets built specialized missile carriers on the same chassis instead. One hull. One engine. One training system. Cheap, modular warfare. And then the wars came. In Vietnam, BRDM-2 scouted ahead of North Vietnamese offensives. In Afghanistan, Mujahideen ambushes turned them into burning traps along mountain roads. During the Yom Kippur War, missile-carrying BRDM variants devastated Israeli armor crossing the Sinai. In Lebanon, captured Israeli BRDM-2s fought Syrian BRDM-2s, the same vehicle on both sides of the battlefield. In Grenada, one famously cornered Navy SEAL Team 6 at the Radio Free Grenada transmitter. In Iraq, hundreds burned along the highway of death. In Syria, nearly every faction operated them at some point: government troops, rebels, ISIS, Kurdish militias, even Russian mercenaries. And now, in Ukraine, cheap FPV drones destroy BRDMs with explosives costing less than a household appliance. Yet both sides still use them. Because despite every weakness, the vehicle refuses to die. On paper, Western scout cars often looked better. Some carried larger guns. Others had superior armor or electronics. But the BRDM-2 had one advantage almost none of them could match: simplicity. It was cheap. Easy to repair. Easy to export. Easy to keep running in places where sophisticated vehicles failed. That is why preserved BRDM-2s now sit in museums from Moscow to Virginia, from Britain to Israel, relics of a Cold War that ended decades ago. But the machine itself never really disappeared. The Soviet Union collapsed. The doctrine that created the BRDM-2 vanished. The factory stopped production in 1989. Yet somewhere tonight, under drone-filled skies in eastern Ukraine, another BRDM-2 is still rolling toward the front. Not because it is perfect. Because for 64 years, soldiers across the world discovered the same thing. Sometimes the machines that survive the longest are not the most advanced. They are simply the ones that keep working. If you like this content, please like, subscribe and follow for more.